And who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, but right now they have no leader. Okay? But this is the thing the Republican Party has to understand too. Both parties lost in the last election.
AOC. What? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life.
Bill Maher just hosted former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, and things got tense quickly. The real moment came when the conversation turned to AOC and talk of a possible 2028 presidential run. McCarthy threw out the idea of her leading the Democratic ticket, but Maher shut it down hard. He didn't just laugh it off, he calmly explained why that scenario, and the party's current direction, and how that could backfire badly. We've got the biggest moments from that exchange coming up. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and let's get into it.
They gamed the system. They changed it.
And who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, but right now they have no leader. Okay? But this is the thing the Republican Party has to understand too. Both parties lost in the last election. Trump won, okay? And I don't know if that's going to transfer. We should have won 4 more seats in the Senate. If you looked at the last 70 races for the Senate, 69 follow exactly the way.
I think it's Moore versus Youngkin. That's where I see it.
Youngkin would be excellent.
Youngkin is going to go back to adjacent, and then Vance and Jr. will fight it out for that crowd.
But AOC and Bernie, and who's at the top of the ticket?
They're going to lead right now.
Who's at the top of that ticket, Kevin? Because if it's not Bernie, he's going to be vice president and then wait his turn?
No, it would be.
Bill Maher practically winced at the thought of AOC leading the Democrats in 2028. And honestly, can you blame him? Still, her name is everywhere. Don't lemons. Boosting her, Kevin McCarthy seems curious, and more top Democrats are treating her like their next big thing. But it feels like the party's chasing. Even the comments section blew up, some furious at Maher for criticizing the Bernie AOC Dream Team, which still has a strong following. But this goes deeper than one candidate. The Democrats are facing a real identity crisis on progressive ideals and risk another major loss or slow down before they drive their message off a cliff.
Bernie's been running each time. I'm just saying who's in the lead right now. I don't think that's how it ends up.
But big crowds don't necessarily mean who's the right candidate. When I started...
No, but it drives where the ideas are going to go. It's going to drive the money for a while.
It doesn't make them the winner.
It doesn't make them the winner. You'll have to wait till you'll get 2 years out, and then you'll start seeing these governors that start showing solutions. You also have to know, what is the issue going to be? Are we going to have a foreign policy issue? Are we going to have an economic issue? And who's been the best in leading in that? But right now, for the Democrats, who's going to lead for the next 2 years, the money is going to... AOC outraised everybody in the House.
And it's all small donors.
It's all small donors.
Yeah.
And this is exactly where Trump was, when no one gave him a chance at 17. He outraised everybody else. So that's where the base is at, right?
By noise, money, or celebrity hype. Just look at Kamala Harris in 2020, for she raised over $1.5 billion, had A-list support, packed huge crowds, and still suffered a brutal defeat. That's what Maher is getting at. The left keeps chasing image over substance, mistaking hype for strategy. Now, compare that to Trump. Whatever your view of him, he didn't just draw crowds, he delivered a message that connected. It wasn't polished or academic, it was direct and real. He didn't push moderates away with fringe ideas. He was simply himself. Kamala. She was everywhere, but somehow didn't leave a mark.
We do know what AOC will not be doing, and that's running for the top spot on the Oversight Committee, if you can put a D0 here. She says Jerry Connolly stepped aside, who had beat her in the race for ranking Dem on Oversight, and she says she's not running this time. She says, quote, "It's actually clear to me that the underlying dynamics in the caucus have not shifted with respect to seniority as much as I think would be necessary, and so I believe I'll be staying put at Energy and Commerce," unquote. Because if she would be ranking member, then she couldn't serve on Energy and Commerce Committee.
Here's what's really going on once you get past the noise. AOC isn't aiming for a top spot on the Oversight Committee, and it's not hard to understand why. The Democratic Party still runs on seniority, which already puts her at a disadvantage. She learned that last year when she lost out to 75-year-old Jerry Connolly. But more importantly, especially if she's thinking long-term about a possible presidential run. Let's be real every move. AOC makes balances image and influence. Oversight might offer more screen time and viral moments, but energy and commerce gives her actual power on big issues like climate and corporate regulation, playing the long game still. People like Bill Maher and Greg Gutfeld remain skeptical she's the Democrats, and a recent look into her background is raising some eyebrows. The story she often tells about growing up with hardship in the Bronx doesn't quite match the facts. Records show her upbringing was far more comfortable than she lets on. Then there's the waitressing job she always points to as proof of her working-class roots. Have waited tables. It's practically a rite of passage in America, not a sign of deep poverty. None of this means she doesn't care about economic issues, but it does poke holes in the image she's built. Image carefully crafted around struggle and grit. And that disconnect is starting to show.
AOC finally responded proudly concerning a high school yearbook photo that proves she grew up in a wealthy suburb. She said, "See, I told you I went to high school."
And I can tell you, I know that when I was waitressing and struggling to put food on the table, for a while there, I did. I tried to stop caring. I tried to just keep my head down, work my shifts, and accept that this is just how things are. But that is no way to live, Arizona. It's no way to live.
Yes, both surprising and concerning, is how many people have fully bought into AOC's carefully crafted story. They see her as a fearless fighter, someone who stood up to power and rose from hardship to become a national hero. But most of that backstory, it's either exaggerated or flat out misleading. When you take a closer look, the image falls apart. Her rise has less to do with deep convictions and more to do with sharp branding and media savvy. Yet many still buy into the act, mistaking flashy speeches for substance and dramatic outbursts for courage. What's praised as bold leadership is often just political theater. All that impressive
AOC. What? She's kind of fun. In a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life.
all happened during a protest following the Supreme Court's 2022 decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Unsurprisingly, but this moment highlighted exactly the kind of political theater Bill Maher has been warning about, where rigid ideology overrides basic common sense. Like Kamala Harris, AOC is seen by many as simply too far left to lead the Democratic Party. To victory, their politics seem more focused on social media applause and activist buzzwords than on unity or real-world solutions. It often leaves everyday voters, those who actually decide elections, feeling frustrated, ignored, or just exhausted. If Democrats keep pushing candidates who favor performance over policy, 2028 could make the failures of 2024 look mild by comparison.
She truly is an American hero. It was brutal, taken out in cuffs. Well, technically, her shirt had cuffs. Maybe French cuffs.
She's not just fixated on progressive causes, she also seems completely unhinged anytime Trump comes up. Case in point, her support for yet another attempt to impeach him, this time over a move meant to deter conflict in Iran. She and her allies weren't pushing accountability, were chasing headlines and likes. And that's the problem. AOC's constant anti-Trump rants don't reflect leadership. They reveal someone more focused on political theater than real results.
From like AOC that he should be impeached is just absurd. Absurd. There's no... Okay, get back to me when you've read the Constitution or get a law degree, because you sound like an absolute idiot. there is absolutely no ground to impeach the president. He 100% was within his constitutional authority and his congressionally authorized authority to do what he did on Saturday. Okay, but as for whether it's a good idea, that's a debate we should be having. And look, if we could get congressional approval of the specific action, fine, I'm okay with that too. If you want to bring it to Congress, go ahead and see how that goes. I don't think it's necessary, but go for it if you want.
Think before jumping in front of a microphone. Her constant stream of emotional outbursts and half-formed hot takes might get applause online. A broader warning. Get your facts straight before joining the outrage mob. And frankly, if Trump sued her, it wouldn't be out of spite. It might finally bring some much-needed accountability to a political culture where people like AOC can toss out wild accusations without paying any price. It's time to move past the slander, the spin, and the performance politics. AOC's theatrics and misinformation don't just hurt her credibility, they show how unprepared she is for real leadership. Her inflated backstory, over-the-top attacks, and endless woke posturing might fire up her base. But they don't move the country forward. America needs leaders who deal in facts, not fanfare. And it's time we start expecting better. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.